Welcome back to Katana TCG. In this week's early deck preview, we're taking a look at Hisuian Arcanine that comes out in the Lost Abyss set this summer, and it's a really cool deck that allows you to attack with 0 energy on the field whatsoever. So let's go ahead and dive into that early deck preview. When it's time to flex on your opponents in Top Cut this season, or even just upgrade your TCG accessories, make sure you're checking out inkgaming.com. They have a wide variety of custom playmats, custom dice bags, face masks, as well as mouse pads too, and a grip of sleeves and dice and deck boxes, all your TCG accessory needs. And you can use the code DADSPOD10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order from inkgaming.com. Your game, your style. So here's an overview of my Hisuian Arcanine list, and yes, there's no energy in this list whatsoever. It is a really cool deck with a really cool mechanic, and I can't wait to dive into the cards and kind of show you how the deck functions and why it actually works with no energy whatsoever. The main attacker in this list is none other than Hisuian Arcanine with 130 HP. It is a fighting type Pokemon with a weakness to grass and a 2 retreat cost. Its guard down attack for no energy does 10 plus damage, and if you have no cards in your hand, it does an additional 150 damage. That's 160 damage for no energy. Because of its awesome typing, you are able to one-hit KO things like Arceus, and doing 160 damage as a single prize Pokemon for no energy in play is really powerful. We've opted to use the Astral Radiance Hisuian Growlithe in this deck as well, which is an 80 HP fighting type Pokemon, weak to grass with a 2 retreat cost as well. For its defensive posture attack for no energy whatsoever, you flip a coin, and if it's heads, you are immune to all of your opponent's Pokemon's attacks next turn, which is also really cool for no energy, and it doesn't have that caveat where you need to have 0 cards in your hand. To be able to continuously attack with Arcanine, or maybe our secondary attacker that we have featured into this deck, we are running the Zoroark line with the Phantom transformation, which allows it to switch into any of our stage 1 Pokemon that are in our discard pile, which is a really cool feature. So if you have lost a Hisuian Arcanine the previous turn, fear not, because Zoroark will help you get back into that Pokemon to continuously use the guard down attack. Our draw line is a 2/2 line of Bidoof and Bibarel with its Industrious Incisors, allowing us to draw until we have 5 cards in our hand. And I know it seems silly that in a deck where we want to have no cards in our hand, we want to draw cards, but we're actually going to need to see resources to hopefully get attackers every turn to potentially deal this tremendous amount of damage for free. And this is how we're going to get our hand size back down, by using the Galarian Meowth with its Evolution Roar ability, allowing us to discard 2 cards from our hand to go find an evolution Pokemon to evolve Galarian Meowth. But because we do not play any Berserkers in this list whatsoever, we are just discarding 2 cards for free to hopefully get down to that 0 hand size and attack with Hisuian Arcanine. We have also featured another great free attacker in the form of Mightyena that came out in Astral Radiance. With its Hustle Bark ability, if your opponent has any VMAX Pokemon in play, this attack costs 3 colorless less, and for 3 colorless it does Wild Tackle for 160, and it does 50 damage to itself. So both of our main attackers in this list have no energy cost whatsoever to deal a tremendous amount of damage, and the Mightyena being a dark type Pokemon means if your opponent is playing anything like Shadow Rider Calyrex or things like Mew VMAX, you are swinging immediately for their weakness and punishing them for putting VMAX Pokemon in play. Another great feature that we just got in the Pokemon Go set is the new Radiant Venusaur, and its Sunny Bloom ability is really cool because once at the end of your turn, after you attack, you may draw until you have 4 cards in your hand. So if you're attacking on a turn where you're not taking prizes, this will help you get back into the resources you need after attacking with 0 cards in your hand, which is a really cool feature. We've also included a Manaphy with its Wave Veil ability, allowing us to protect all of our bench Pokemon from our opponent's Pokemon's attacks. And to help us get down to those 0 hand sizes, we've opted to play 4 counts of Peony, allowing us to discard our entire hand and go into our deck and grab 2 trainer cards. And those trainer cards, more often than not, are going to be items that we can immediately play out to hopefully cycle in our Hisuian Arcanines, or maybe even our Mightyenas as we see fit. But this is a really cool card that plays heavily into this archetype, and it's really fun. Arizu is a really cool setup card that's coming out in the Lost Abyss set. It's a supporter that allows us to search our deck for 3 evolution Pokemon without a rule box and put them into our hand and shuffle our deck. If we need to be able to, on our second turn, set up something like a Bibarel, Zoroark, and a Hisuian Arcanine, this card will allow us to go in and grab them without having to have a wide hand of resources like an Evolution Incense, Ultra Ball, as well as a Quick Ball to potentially get back into the resources we need. This will grab all of them as we see fit. We are playing 1 Boss's Orders because gusting is good. I really think that Grant was another card that was meant for this deck because of its multifaceted capabilities. During your turn, your fighting Pokemon's attacks do 30 extra damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, which is perfect for bumping up that Hisuian Arcanine's attack to 190. Its recyclable nature is actually what steers into this deck a little bit more heavily because you're able to discard 2 cards from your hand to pull Grant out of the discard pile to either play or quick ball away or something along those lines to hopefully get back down to that minimal hand size, as well as increase your fighting Pokemon's attacks by 30, which is a really cool addition to this deck. To steer into the items, we're playing 4 Quick Ball to grab basic Pokemon as well as limit resources in our hand. We're playing 3 Evolution Incense. That's an easy playable item from our hand, and it allows us to get into our evolution Pokemon like the Bibarel as well as Zoroark and the Hisuian Arcanine, but it'll also allow us to grab the Mightyena and potentially put it in the discard pile to switch into it with the Phantom Transformation. And we're playing a 2 count of the Hisuian Heavy Ball because there is opportunities for us to prize very important Pokemon for our board setup. So something like Hisuian Heavy Ball allowing us to go into our prizes and switch Hisuian Heavy Ball with one of our basics we find there is very impactful. And we're playing a 1 count of Ultra Ball. It's difficult to have something like this in your hand because you do need 2 additional resources to actually use the card, and if it is in your hand, unfortunately you can't attack with Hisuian Arcanine, so I opted to play a fewer count of this to get stuck with it less. We're playing 2 Pokegear because it is a playable item that allows us to go find a supporter in the top 7 cards of our deck, which might be super necessary in some instances. Peony and Cross Switcher have such great synergy, it's not even fair. So I've opted to play 2 of these in my list as well, and Cross Switcher is a really cool card where you have to play 2 of them at once, but you switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active, and then you do the same, but you get to choose the Pokemon that your opponent promotes, which is a really cool gusting feature for an item card, which I really like. We're playing 2 Ordinary Rod to continuously keep the Zoroark and the Hisuian Arcanine in our decks so that we can use them and attack on as many turns as we see fit. We're playing 1 Switch and 1 Escape Rope for a little bit of mobility and to get into our necessary attackers for the turn. Hisuian Arcanine's attack does 160 damage, with Grant it does 190, and with Choice Belt it does 220, which is about the level for every V Pokemon in the format right now. We're playing 1 Air Balloon for a little bit of pivoting. We're playing 2 Temple of Sinnoh. We don't play energy in this list, but there are a lot of good decks out there that do benefit from having special energy, and being able to put the Temple of Sinnoh in play to actually limit the capabilities of their special energy, making them worth 1 colorless, is very, very key. We've also included an Old Cemetery into this list as well. Whenever a player attaches an energy to a non-psychic type Pokemon, they put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Since we're not attaching energy to any of our Pokemon in this list, we're really just chewing at our opponent's non-psychic type Pokemon with something like Old Cemetery. There are so many decks in this format right now, like Mew VMAX, that play a high item count that really benefit from being able to chew through the resources and get to the things that are necessary in their deck to continuously attack and aggressively set up early board states, and this is a very similar deck. It seems very funky to have to limit your hand down to 0, but you're swinging for no energy whatsoever, and you're giving up 1 prize at a time, which is going to prove very problematic in the future, especially for decks that go through their resources maybe a little bit too fast and can't handle a Hisuian Arcanine hitting for potentially 220 on back-to-back turns. I really hope you enjoyed this video, because I certainly enjoyed playing and proxying this list, and I really think that this deck is going to make a very impactful dent in our standard format come September. And if you enjoyed my content, make sure you like the video, comment which deck you'd like to see me do next week below, and then subscribe to my channel and turn your notifications on so you get alerts every time that I post an early deck preview or other content that I upload to my YouTube. And be sure to check out the Pokedads podcast where we release a new episode every Friday talking all things Pokemon all the time. And join our Patreon where I give an even more in-depth summary to decks like this. Thank you all for watching. Deuces.